Good evening, friends. I think post-lunch sessions are always a difficult one, but still, once again, I will say good evening, friends. Is it good afternoon? Sorry, I. Good afternoon, friends. That's great. So, I'm Narendra Shukla. I'm representing a company, a group known as a Wallaby Group. And first, before I proceed, start speaking about the subject. I will talk about me first, so that we know each other. Uh, I'm an electrical engineer. Did my specialization in aircraft maintenance engineering. Had experience of working with the corporates in corporate real estate, facilities management, projects management, blah blah. So many experiences are there, and getting onto the lot of audit things, BCMS, security systems, business continuity planning, business continuity management systems. So wide range of experiences and learning which came across, and then afterward we decided as a group of people that we should have something interesting to be done. So that is about me. And today, in this conference, we do have our director of healthcare, Dr. Akash. He is also sitting in this room. So he is also here. And now we'll talk about the basically subject. If we talk about the subject, a new reality, the impact of COVID-19 on construction technology and accounting. I think the people, those who are sitting in this room, they can't say that they had not been affected or impacted because of this. If we start, discussing about this particular subject, I think each one of us will write 40 pages or more than that and compile it together, it becomes 40,000 pages. The kind of the experience, the kind of the exposure, the kind of the impacts, what each of us has gone through. So definitely, the industry in which we are working, that remains untouched. We can't say that. It also got impacted. It was affected badly. The people, those who are, running their bread and butter in construction, that is a, industry, a real estate industry, because of the COVID, because of this pandemic, they got unemployed. They got into a trouble. They started moving from one place to, another place. So all those things started. But if we take overall learning, there could be 1,000 learning which can be discussed on any forum. But if we select few of them, if we talk about key learnings or key pointers, that we can discuss on this forum. As I said, I can, or anyone in this room can get 20, 30, 40 impacting points. But we'll discuss few of them during this particular forum. If you look onto the data and details here, as I've talked about, the impact onto the industry has been onto the labor, has been onto the supply chain management, has been onto the basically, suppliers, those who were supplying, has been onto the developers, builders, real estate people, those who were doing their projects. And because of this, they couldn't do it. The majority of the people, they start getting into trouble for the material supplies, for the labor supplies. And if we talk about other technological things, because of the people have never thought of, they were not able to use the digital platforms for their leverage, for their advantages. That couldn't happen. So if we say that impact of COVID-19 was on all around, on everybody, and the 5 pointers which we would like to talk about is the basically, where we took the learning and we wanted to improve upon and we wanted to do something very good so that we come out of this, issues. One was the resilience, contract structuring, and collaboration. I think prior to the pandemic, the contracts were structured in such a fashion that it was friendly. the way they wanted to make it up, it was there. For example, let's say if a vendor or a partner leave the job and goes away because of the pandemic, one, one of the case. Second case, if the vendor continues the job with the additional resources, additional cost or additional thing, it was never included in that way. Penalty clause, supporting clause. So all those things were worked out post pandemic, and that is what we say here: resilience, contract structuring, and collaboration. So collaboration piece, yes, it is very important while working it out. Collaboration with the partners, collaboration with the vendors, collaboration with the other you can say internal stakeholders, external stakeholders, or some of the corporates we say internal customers and external customers. So that all went out. Then we talk about the chain management. Lot of work which was done onto the supply chain management. If I talk about supply chain management, the logistics, the materials, the resources, I think it was very difficult to get all of them together, put on site, and get the activity executed. But this has also opened a kind of some opportunity. Okay, if we do a advanced planning, if we do a proper planning, if we work out a kind of amenities for the resources, if we provide them support in terms of convenience, staying, fooding, lodging, whatever it is, okay? And also, along with that, some kind of, medical ads also. So probably this particular issue of the supply chain management, that is a resource management, logistics, was addressed in that way. Another thing, if we talk about the balance sheet and liquidity, of course, whenever we work for any of the projects, we do have something known as payment clauses. Okay, you do the work. After doing the work, you'll be getting the payment in 15 days, 20 days, or there is a staggering payments, or there is a stage payment, or on completion of the project, it will take 30 days. So some of the places during this particular period, COVID time, we had an opportunity to discuss with the, client, asking them, "Ki boss, we need a money. We need a money to pass it on to the, next people so that they are able to perform our activity in a justified way, in a proper way." So that was the one of the area where that is the balance sheet and liquidity. Liquidity not only from the client, even to the vendor, to the partner. We wanted to very promptly help them to ensure that their payouts are made. So it is a both way, getting a payment from the client and passing it on to the next people, those who are working for us. Diversification and innovation, definitely. During this whole perspective or during this whole problem area, during this pandemic, we applied a lot of BPR, business process reengineering processes. We tried in finding out a lot of innovative way. We tried to find out the alternates, and all of them were together put for our advantage. So if we say diversification, if we say innovation, I think that has helped the construction industry to come out of this particular issues in a better way, for the better leveraging of the output, productivity, and also timely closure or timely completion of the projects. If we talk about the technology, when it was not possible for anyone to basically meet physically, go and do a physical meeting, okay, one-to-one meetings. The only one platform which was available, that was the digital platform. So I think during this particular pandemic, people started using the digital platforms for their payouts. That is a contactless processing of the invoices, bills, payouts, and everything. So what they did, they leveraged the technology like anything. If I talk about prior to the pandemic, if I talk about lower segment, that is a labor class, they were not that too technology friendly in terms of taking the money on digital platforms. But during this particular pandemic, people started taking money, payments, everything through the digital platforms. So I think all these things, what I'm talking about, so you can see onto the PPT, I have talked about the same thing. If we talk about the supply chain management, that's beautifully devised. You can go through this. That is a balance sheet and liquidity we talked about. If we talk about diversification and innovation, we can read it. Definitely this PPT will be available to all of us onto the link. Technology, we talked about. Looking ahead, definitely. In fact, 1.5 year or 2 years time has provided us an alternate opportunities for everything, whether it is the vendor management, whether it is the payments, whether it is the monitoring of the project. I'm, I can make a statement here saying that, earlier to review the project, people used to travel to the sites. During this pandemic, people started doing a Zoom meeting. They started making different, calls through video calling, WhatsApp calling, Zoom calling, all kind of, things were utilized. So what I mean to say, as a way forward, this has reduced the overheads of traveling, staying, and other expenses also. And I think I personally feel that should be the way. Until unless travel and everything is not mandatorily, the monitoring of the projects can be done. For example, if I talk about the technology, you can also put a GPRS based cameras onto the site, and there could be a command center or control room which can monitor the site, and those cameras are mobile. You can move it to anywhere. So what I mean to say, there is a provision available, there is a technology available which needs to be utilized. One. Second, payment system. Every day new platforms, new digital way of making the payments, all those things are coming up. That thing should be utilized. Third thing, during this particular period, the laborers, the team, those who are working onto the site, because work has not stopped, work was continued everywhere. Projects were getting delivered somewhere timely. So in that particular process, the peoples were provided or should be provided free testing of the COVID, whether it is a RT-PCR test, whether it is an antigen test, whether it is whatever it is, and whatever minimal medical supports are needed for all these guys should have been provided, and we had been providing as a group. If I look onto the overall perspective, there are certain areas which has come as a learning for the group. These are the areas where we found we were facing the problems. Okay, if we talk about Wallaby Group, these are the basically companies, which is working under the umbrella of Wallaby Group. Wallaby Engineering Services, that's cater for engineering, building, and constructions company. Wallaby Dravya, Dravya is the word. In Sanskrit, it is the money. Dravya means a money. So that is a Wallaby Dravya, a kind of money, banking. If we talk about Wallaby Impacts, basically while we were struggling to get a supplier executing the project, we tried in basically working within the country and also to the outside the country, wherever there is a possible or prospective supplier available, we should get the things to cover up our project delays and complete the projects. Then if we talk about Wallaby Agro Services, I think some of my colleague sitting in this room was also talking about agro things. So I think this particular thing, agro, is going to provide a maximum job opportunity to the people. If I talk about the Wallaby Agro, it is, I'll just tell you, let's say if I have the land, and I'm sitting here in Dubai, or I'm sitting in Mumbai, I'm sitting somewhere in US, those lands are not being basically cultivated or utilized for the purpose. So Wallaby Agro is being, instrumental in terms of taking the land on lease and doing the cultivation. So there are the two mechanisms here. One, let's say if the land belongs to you, You invest 50%, I invest 50% as a company. And whatever is the produce, we'll do 50-50. Another way is to basically take the land, give the land on lease to the company, and company will pay a rental, and whatever is the produce, that will be utilized by the company. So Wallaby Agro has been formed with the perspective of the contract farming. If we talk about Wallaby Spark Reality, again, it is basically, lot of, uh, if we say leases, lot of selling of the, lands, people are requiring. So this particular company, that is the Wallaby Spark Reality, will be instrumental in supporting the corporates, companies, and people for the purpose of leasing it out or sourcing of the property globally or across country. Then if we talk about Wallaby Diagnostic, I think during the pandemic, it was a great issue. We were not able to get basically medical labs, test labs. Even if we provide our samples, report will come 48 hours, 72 hours, 10 days, 5 days, likewise. So one of the thought which came along with the board, we should have some kind of, diagnostic center, which should be, working and providing, great service to the people. So that is the thought why this particular thing has been formed. Wallaby Green Foundation. I think whatever we get, we should also return to the society in some of the forms. If I talk about Wallaby Green Foundation, the few of the intention of the Wallaby Foundation, Green Foundation, is to work it out onto the orphanage, work it out onto the old aged home, work it out onto the poorer people, those who are in need of support. So whatever we get, some portion of it should go back to the society in any of the form, whatever we have talked about. That is what is the desire here. Clean hospital. This is one of the, thought of the board, thought of the group, that we should have the hospital, and that hospital should be, able to provide services to the rural area. So in any of the country, we have a tier 1 city, tier 2 cities. So majority of the places, the focus of the group or the Wallaby is onto the tier 2 cities, where there is a scarcity of the hospital provisions, healthcare requirements are not being met. So that is the reason why group has decided to go with the clean hospitals. If we talk about physical telemeds, it is basically a pharma things. I'll give you a small example here. If we buy a medicine and keep it in our pocket, and if we don't eat it, are we going to become all right? No. What I mean to say, there are certain things which needs to be performed physically. I gave you a classic example of the medicine. I can procure the medicine online through digital platform, but eating has to be done by myself. Likewise, these medicines has to be stored somewhere or has to be supplied to the different locations physically. So digitally, we may monitor it. Digitally, we may do the procurements. Digitally, we may make the payments. But physically, there has to be presence of these pharma stores at all the locations, so that distribution takes place properly. So that is the purpose of the physical telemeds. So I think this is what I have to say about my learning onto the basically COVID-19 impact onto the construction industry. If anybody would like to throw some questions, please do that. I'm more than happy to address that. I think why people will not have a question, I have got an answer for that. Every one of us have faced this. And every one of us has found out the answer for this. And every one of us is actually adhering to this. So there won't be any question, because each and every one of us have witnessed this particular pandemic situation in some of the form. I may be, locked up in some of the room, but still, I had a fear in my mind. I had thoughts in my mind that I should not get corona. I should not become a COVID positive. So that is the reason why people will not have any question. Now, I will further add, since there is no question, I will just add a few more things over here. Okay, positive impact. I will talk about the Wallaby Group, okay? Remaining of the people can correlate. And furthermore, I will summarize also. See, if I compare my balance sheet, comparing to the last year, the growth which has taken place, it was 900% plus for current financial year. That is a positive impact. And how? How could we achieve it actually? See, it is a difficult time. Everybody acknowledges that. But to keep ourselves going, to keep working, what is the thing which is driving us? It is just a belief system what we have within ourselves. If I feel that I will not get sick, to be very honest, I will not get sick. The moment thought is generated in my brain, I am sick, and if somebody comes and asks me 5 times, are you well? Are you well? Are you well? 4th time, you will not be well. Because your belief system is getting somewhere, disturbed. So, and where from we have got this belief system? If you look onto the overall perspective of the, pandemic, there were certain peoples in the society, those who were continuously put on duties. Your law enforcement agencies, are they not prone to the COVID? They are, and they were. What was basically saving them? I'm not saying 100% people got saved. Few of them got, into the problem. But it was their inner belief system which has kept them going on. And in today's time, when I'm standing here in Dubai before this particular forum, it is our belief system which is driving us and making us to be present here before you. And it is our belief system. If some of these people, those who are sitting in this room, if they are, going to next month, LA, right? Las Vegas? Yeah? LA? US का कब का program है? Las Vegas, na? It is my belief that, we'll meet there also. So it is the belief system which is driving the entire perspective. So my request is what, kindly have a trust in your belief system and do a kind of manifestation with your belief that yes, I will. And trust, we will. Yeah, ma'am. Thank you. Sure.
One of the biggest challenges that the world has faced during this pandemic is the added freight rates.
Sorry?
The added freight rates, high freight rates that has increased the price of everything during the COVID
right.
situation, right? Transportation, logistics, freight has gone up tremendously. So the purchase of raw materials for any particular product has gone high, like sometimes 3 times more. So I know with your experience, how did you deal with this? I'm sure you need.
I think it's a very good, wonderful question, ma'am. I'll just say, ma'am, we work onto the Excel sheet, right? If we work onto the Excel sheet, what all the factors which is, basically, impacting the end result? That is a numerator and denominator. Am I right? Is there anything else? Nothing? So it is basically, if you talk about, cost is going up. As a supply chain professional, I have worked with the corporate like telecom for the good amount of the 11 years as a supply chain professional. So there you can play it onto the volume. There are many more ways to play. Okay, you can work it onto the transportation cost, you can work it onto the volume, you can work it onto the quantity, you can look for the kind of, wherever you can avoid the wastages. Okay, uh, that is one way. So there are the many ways, ma'am, you can optimize the cost to your required level. I, as a person, had been a WOW champion. WOW champion, if I talk about, that is I was working with one of the corporate continuously 3 years. I was a part of the WOW team, centrally representing the country. That is a war on waste. When you procure anything, that is a service or product or anything, there is always a wastages. You work on those wastages and try to minimize. You're not minimizing only for yourself, you're also minimizing for the vendor or the supplier. By virtue of your intervention, by virtue of your involvement, you will minimize the losses or the cost to the supplier, and ultimately he will reduce it, and you will be able to negotiate to the required level. So I think I'm able to answer you till some extent, ma'am.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Right, ma'am. Yeah. Anybody has got any other things to ask? Sorry, I have not gone exactly onto the PPT. PPT was prepared by the team, but whatever I wanted to share, it was my practical experience of 1.5 years, 2 years. Can we go for the tea now? Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks, friends. Thanks.